Gaslighting, love bombing, DARVO, the Manipulator's Complete Dictionary. Introduction: Why names are weapons. There is a strange moment that happens to almost everyone who escapes a manipulative relationship, romantic, professional, or family. They stumble across a word, often late at night, deep in an internet search that started with, "Why do I always feel crazy after we talk?" The word might be gaslighting. It might be love bombing. And the moment they read the definition, something physical happens, a release, a click, sometimes tears. Not because they learned something new, they lived it, but because it finally has a name. Names matter more in psychology than almost anywhere else. An unnamed experience is a private fog, you cannot examine it, describe it to others, or defend against it. A named experience is an object on the table. It can be studied, discussed, recognized in advance. This is why manipulation thrives on vagueness and dies in vocabulary. The entire method depends on you not being able to say precisely what is happening to you. So consider this article a dictionary, the complete working lexicon of manipulation. 12 terms, from the famous to the obscure, each defined not academically but operationally, what it looks like in a real kitchen, a real office, a real text thread. Learn these words and you gain the manipulator's least favorite superpower, the ability to narrate their technique out loud, in real time, in front of witnesses. Gaslighting, the assault on memory. We begin with the most famous entry, named after the 1944 film Gaslight, in which a husband dims the gas lamps in the house and insists to his wife that the light has not changed, until she doubts her own senses. Gaslighting is the systematic denial of another person's accurate perception of reality. That never happened. I never said that. You're imagining things again. The key word is systematic. Everyone misremembers occasionally, a single dispute over facts is just life. Gaslighting is a campaign, and it has a direction. Your memory is always wrong in ways that benefit them. Over time the target stops trusting their own mind and outsources reality checking to the very person distorting it, the perfect crime, because the victim polices herself. Field marks: you have started recording conversations, screenshotting texts, or rehearsing events afterward, to make sure it really happened. Healthy relationships never make you do forensic work on your own life. Love bombing, the counterfeit paradise. Love bombing is manipulation's opening ceremony, an overwhelming flood of affection, attention, gifts, compliments, and future promises, delivered at a speed and intensity that no genuine bond could produce. 3 dates in and you are soulmates. 1 week at the new job and the boss calls you family, and the best hire in a decade. The bombing serves 2 purposes. It creates dependency, the high is real, chemically real, and you will chase it later. And it creates debt. After so much given, refusing anything feels monstrous. When the demands, criticisms, and coldness eventually arrive, and they always arrive, the paradise was a construction cost, not a lifestyle. You will work desperately to earn back the opening act, never quite grasping that the opening act was the trap, not the relationship. Field mark: the ratio of intensity to time. Real intimacy compounds slowly, like interest. Anything that feels like winning the lottery on day 3 deserves your most skeptical audit. DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Coined by psychologist Jennifer Freyd, DARVO is the standard maneuver deployed when a manipulator gets caught. It unfolds in 3 beats, fast enough to induce whiplash. Deny: that absolutely did not happen. Attack: how dare you accuse me, after everything I've done. This is what you think of me. You have serious trust issues. Reverse victim and offender: by the end of the conversation, they are wounded, you are the aggressor, and you find yourself apologizing for the sin of raising a legitimate grievance. DARVO is diagnostic gold because innocent people behave differently, they get confused, ask questions, seek to understand the accusation. Guilty manipulators skip comprehension entirely and go straight to counterattack. The speed itself is the tell. Field mark: you entered the conversation with a specific complaint and left it comforting them. Track that inversion twice and you have your answer. Hoovering: the vacuum at the door. Named after the vacuum cleaner, hoovering is the suction maneuver that follows your escape. You have gone low contact, or ended it, or simply started pulling away, and suddenly the person you first met reappears. Nostalgic messages. Apologies of unprecedented quality. A crisis that only you can help with. An accidental, this song made me think of you. Hoovering is not remorse, it is inventory management. You were an asset that walked off the balance sheet, and assets are retrieved. The proof lies in what happens after you return, a brief second honeymoon, then a swift restoration of the old regime, often worse than before, because now the manipulator knows exactly what almost cost them the asset and moves to disable it, usually your friends, your confidence, or your exit money. Field mark, the return message arrives precisely when you have started to feel better. They are not psychic. They are attentive. Triangulation, the manufactured rival. Triangulation is the introduction of a third point into a two-person dynamic to create jealousy, insecurity, or the illusion of consensus. The ex who keeps texting. The colleague who is so impressive, you could learn from her. The invisible chorus, everyone thinks you've changed, even your own mother agrees with me. The third party may be real, exaggerated, or entirely fictional, it does not matter, because their function is geometric, not personal. A triangle destabilizes you, you are now competing for a prize that should never be a competition, and outnumbers you, your position becomes a minority opinion against an unverifiable crowd. Field mark, recurring comparisons and unverifiable coalitions. The disarm is direct verification, great, let's call your mother right now and discuss it, which manipulators refuse with remarkable consistency. Breadcrumbing and intermittent reinforcement, the slot machine. Why do people stay attached to sources of mostly misery? Behavioral science answered this decades ago. Intermittent reinforcement, reward delivered unpredictably, produces the strongest attachment known, far stronger than consistent kindness. It is the engine inside every slot machine, and inside every manipulative relationship. Breadcrumbing is its dating era name, just enough warmth to keep you on the hook, never enough to constitute a relationship. A wonderful evening after 3 cold weeks. A flash of the old tenderness precisely when you were about to leave. Your brain, hunting the pattern, concludes the jackpot is always one pull away, and doubles its investment after every loss. Field mark, you describe the relationship in terms of its rare peaks, while your friends only ever witness the valleys. When the two descriptions diverge that far, trust the witnesses. Moving the goalposts, the unwinnable game. You met the requirement changes. You lost the weight, but it's your attitude now. You hit the sales target, but real team players also stay late. You apologized, but a real apology would have come sooner. Moving the goalposts converts your effort into a permanent subscription, the reward is always one more condition away. The purpose is not the stated standard, no standard would ever be enough, because your striving is the product. A person exhausting themselves toward an ever-receding finish line is compliant, distracted, and cheap to operate. Field mark, chart your last 5 almosts. If the target moved every time you approached it, the game is not difficult. It is rigged, and the only winning move is to stop playing and say so, we agreed on X, X is done. New conditions mean a new negotiation. Word salad and circular conversations, the fog machine. Attempt to resolve a specific issue with a manipulator and you will encounter a distinctive weather system, the conversation that goes everywhere and arrives nowhere. Ancient grievances resurface. Definitions are disputed. Your tone becomes the topic. Counteraccusations multiply. 2 hours later you are exhausted, the original issue is untouched, and, this is the design, you hesitate to raise issues in the future because you cannot afford the 2 hours. This is not poor communication. It is excellent communication, aimed at a goal that is not yours, making accountability so expensive you stop pursuing it. Field mark, measure conversations by resolution, not duration. The disarm is the broken record, one sentence, restated calmly, regardless of weather, we can discuss all of that after. First, the money you borrowed in March. The smear campaign and flying monkeys, the reputation strike. When a manipulator senses exposure or loses control of you, the battlefield shifts to third parties. The smear campaign is your preemptive character assassination. You are unstable, jealous, abusive, going through something, narrated sorrowfully, more in pity than anger, to every mutual contact before you even realize a war is on. Its purpose is inoculation. When you eventually tell the truth, the audience has already been vaccinated against it. Flying monkeys, the term borrowed from the Wizard of Oz, are the recruited messengers, well-meaning mutuals who deliver the manipulator's pressure while believing they are neutral peacemakers. She's really hurting, you should reach out. He told me everything, I think you're being too harsh. Field mark, you find yourself defending against a version of yourself you do not recognize. Resist the urge to counter-campaign, document quietly, correct facts calmly when asked directly, and let time do what it reliably does to fabricated stories. They require maintenance, and truth does not. Conclusion, fluency as freedom. 12 entries, gaslighting, love bombing, DARVO, hoovering, triangulation, breadcrumbing, intermittent reinforcement, moving goalposts, word salad, smear campaigns, flying monkeys, and the fog that connects them all. Reading them in one sitting produces a strange effect. The tactics stop looking like separate horrors and start looking like what they are. One trade with one purpose, pursued through interchangeable tools. Control, seized through the distortion of reality, affection, and reputation. You may also have felt, reading these pages, some entries land harder than others, a lurch of recognition, a specific face appearing behind a definition. Take that seriously, and take it gently. Recognition is not paranoia, and it is not a verdict you must act on tonight. It is simply the fog beginning to lift, which is the necessary first step of every exit ever made. A practical note on deployment. Owning this vocabulary does not mean broadcasting it. Diagnosing people out loud, that's classic gaslighting. You narcissist, usually escalates conflict and hands the manipulator a new grievance to perform. The professional use of the dictionary is quieter. Name the tactic to yourself, in real time, and let the naming guide your move. Think, this is DARVO, and hold your topic. Think, this is love bombing, and slow the relationship down. Think, this is hoovering, and do not answer tonight. Reserve the terminology itself for two audiences, your own notes, and the trusted people helping you see clearly. Used that way, the words are instruments, not ammunition, and instruments last longer. Here is what fluency in this dictionary buys you. Not cynicism. The fluent reader trusts good people more, not less, because trust becomes a judgment instead of a gamble. Not combat skills. You will rarely need to fight, because manipulators audition targets, and a person who can calmly say, this is DARVO, and I'm not doing it, fails the audition instantly. What fluency buys you is narration rights over your own life. No one can convince you the gaslights haven't dimmed once you own the words for what they're doing. Language was the manipulator's first weapon. Now it is yours.